Since I was a kid, I've been, battling this diagnosis that is not very easy to handle. It's really hard for me to be still. Sometimes it's hard for me to focus, specifically when it comes to performing. And I just think that this is just the Lord's grace. Performing is when I feel the most free.
You are about to go on tour.
Yes.
Can you give us the dates? Can you talk to us about where you're going, who you're singing with, what you'll be performing?
Yeah, I am so excited about this tour, and thank you for your excitement. I'm so excited. It's been, I think, 7 or 8 years since I've gone on tour, which I hadn't realized until I just casually was like, I think I should go on tour. And so I started looking up, as you do when you have a small business, you're like, oh, when's the last time we did this? And then I was like, oh, oops. I'm like, low key busy, parenting. So kind of forgot about tour, but I've played shows. I just haven't done a tour. Anyways, so yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's called A Little Different, and that's off of a song that was on my album 91, which came out in like 2018, I think, or 2017. And I never went on tour for that album. So it's so sweet because so many people, like the songs Party Like a Princess or Bella and or Different or Reverb, right? And I never toured off of that album. And then I released an album in 2023. Haven't toured on that album either. But I also we're coming up on 13, 14 years of Hold Me and Beautiful Day. And those songs are still so special to me too. So it's going to be a night of going through, well, as many as we can, especially the old school songs. I think one of my favorite things has been like women in their like 20s and 30s that are like, oh, I haven't heard the song since like fourth grade. I'll be there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, yay. Like we all grew up together, right? Like it's so sweet. But it's gonna be me and a full band. I think there's 11 cities. So there's Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, a couple more. So I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to go back on tour. I can't wait for like my husband and kid to like see me on tour. And I know that sounds weird, but like they haven't really like seen me tour. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Well, and where can we buy tickets to this tour?
Yes. So the easiest place is just jamiegrace.com, and then you can just click on all the show dates. But then also like on Instagram and stuff like that. You know how it is. If you comment anything on my Instagram, you'll get a DM. Oh, do you want to buy tickets to the tour? You know how it is. Like comment below for the link. So yeah. Be careful out there. If you type in anything on Instagram, influencers will send you a link to your DMs.
Perfect. Okay, last question. What would you say to a mom who's watching or a dad whose child was recently diagnosed with Tourette syndrome and they want to help in that way that your friends do and that your support group do, but they don't know how? What advice would you give?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that. Because I really love that question. I haven't gotten it in a very long time. Thank you. Yeah, I would say, uh, as someone that is neurodivergent, Tourette syndrome, all the things, we revisited my diagnosis with my like medical team about 3 years ago. They added autism. And so, to any parents that has a kid that have a kid like me, um, it's okay to like low key be stressed out. Like, and I know that that might not be the immediate response or the immediate thought, that you're expecting. But when I think about my mom and dad, and I think about some of the greatest ways that they supported me and comforted me and walked with me through it all, um, I remember hearing my mom like cry on the phone advocating for me with the doctor. And even though that was difficult to hear, for me, that let me know, wow, she's really fighting for me. She's really on my side. I remember my dad telling me, like, hey, it's okay to be kind of confused about why you're having pain. Like, and we serve this really big, powerful God. Like, it's okay to be sad. And like, so just, not shielding your kid from the fact that this actually is a difficult thing to deal with, right? And like not being a butthead about it and being like, oh, your illness makes my life hard. It's like, okay, pal, get a journal. Maybe maybe don't tell your kid that, but just the transparency of like, hey, we're in this together, you're not alone. And very much leaning into the empathy of it because when your kid is sick, they don't need to know that like you know exactly how it feels because they are aware that no one really gets it. But it is helpful to know that you care and that it is hard for you as well. And then the next thing I would just say is just a support system. My mom and dad, they are pastors and they've joked a lot about how they didn't have like a huge friend group, but they had each other. And so I definitely say like have a good support group. Like a lot of churches now even have like caretaker support groups or things like that. And so since I was a kid, I've been, battling this diagnosis that is not very easy to handle. And for context, one of the main, symptoms of Tourette syndrome is it's a neurobiological condition. It causes movements and sounds called tics. And I'm in my 30s now, and there's a lot that I do to kind of manage it on a day-to-day basis. But you can even hear like when I'm talking about it, my brain starts thinking about it, and then I start stuttering and things like that. And also, you guys can't see that I'm very close to basically tap dancing at the bottom half of my body because I'm just always moving. It's really hard for me to be still. Sometimes it's hard for me to focus because of the ADHD and things like that. And so, specifically when it comes to performing, and I just think that this is just the Lord's grace. Performing is when I feel the most free. And even outside of performing, I could also even say like leading worship, singing is when I feel the most free. And from a psychological and scientific standpoint, that's a very common thing, right? That movement is helpful. We hear that all the time. Like, oh, if you have anxiety, you should try to go to the gym because moving your body is helpful, right? Sometimes singing can take your mind off of, issues and stuff like that. We hear about like art therapy because creativity can be helpful for depression and anxiety, right? And so, yes, there's that side of it, but I also think that's a really cool spiritual component too. Is that when I'm really pressed into what God has for me, when I'm really pressed into making music and playing my guitar, so much of my symptoms can kind of decrease to the point where not a lot of times, specifically speaking about performing, people don't always notice that I have stuff because my mind is so there that it's almost impossible for my mind to be on anything else. A lot of the challenges for me end up, being in the, lack of sleep kind of thing, or, having to like deal with stressful situations of like the boring part of my job, like dealing with like if I have to like read through contracts and stuff like that, it can cause a bit more anxiety for me than maybe a non-anxious person, if you will. So obviously my faith is huge as far as support goes, but I just try to make sure I stay really close to my people. That really just help me not panic as much and remind me like, hey, we get it. Your job is stressful, or this didn't go out how you want it to go, but it doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't make you a bad person. Like, hey, your lack of sleep because you're obsessed with finishing this song is going to make it harder for you to actually finish the song because your symptoms are going to show up. And so a lot of accountability, a lot of encouragement happens in my life. And then I don't want to like bore you, but there's also a lot of like, essential oils and all that kind of stuff too, that just kind of the general helpful things.
Wow, that's amazing to have the group of people around that know you so well and know what helps, and not just to like, oh, Band-Aid. Well, maybe you should drink some water. Like, yeah. You're trying to be very helpful, but that's not it. But you have people that know you and know what helps. And now you're going on tour. And your little girl, I said, and now you're going on tour. You're singing these songs. Your little girl is going to see you on stage and be so proud. That's incredible.
Listen, I'm grateful. I'm super grateful. I mean, I didn't even tell you this part, but like I had like sent my resume out like everywhere, like 2021 to 2023, like every nonprofit Christian school, everywhere. I was like, hey, have y'all heard of Jamie Grace? She could be your youth pastor, technically. tech, you know what I mean? Like like every nonprofit I was like, "Hey, y'all want because I wanted to do ministry, you know, and music is so hard to do. And the Lord kept saying like, "Oh, I want you to make music. I want you to make music." And I was like, "Hey, Jesus, love that for you. I'm gonna not." But, you know, he like you said, now apparently it all worked out. Look at what he's done, and I'm just so grateful to just still be walking out what he's called me to do. So
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, when Jesus says this is the way, he means no, I'm going to shut every other door and you are going to go this way. Well, that's incredible. I'm so excited for this tour. I'm so excited for everyone to go and buy tickets to this tour, a little bit different, and to hear all the amazing songs. And then for them to be able to watch this interview and know the backstory, even just a little bit behind the heart behind these songs as they go and worship all together. Thank you so much for talking with us.
thank you so much. This was awesome. Thank you.
That's the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you want more content like this, head over to movieguide.org. Now, Movieguide is a nonprofit organization, and we are supported by viewers like you every day.